Welcome back to another very happy What the Falk Sunderland review show. We have another win to discuss and another good performance as we made it 3 wins from 4 and we've pushed ourselves just outside of the playoffs. So all that negativity is gone. We feel very, very positive this week again, which is fantastic. And most of the whole gang has joined us. Dave might be joining us. I think he's still asleep by accident. So if Dave arrives, he does. If he doesn't, everyone call him names on Twitter. No, don't do that. That would be nasty. But first and foremost, Ross Black, how are you, mate? You okay?
Hello, yes, I'm very good, mate. As you say, it's a zero negativity podcast once again, and just enjoying watching the lads win football games. Brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, it feels really positive. It feels like what was the Coventry review show we did 3 weeks ago, and that was probably the most negative we've ever been. And it's just turned around in 2 weeks, which is, a lot can change in a week. But I'm very, very pleased it's in the favour of Sunderland. Brad, you're outside doing some stuff, mate. Hopefully there's not too many seagulls or background noises, but how are you doing? Are you all right?
Yeah, mate, I'm good. I'll be calling out Dave. Don't you worry about that. He does it enough to us. Yeah, very good. Another excellent win yesterday. And it just keeps that momentum going, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. 3 goals, 3 points. Ross, I think you can quite tell we're happy about the performance and we're happy about where we're at the minute. But somewhat how you feel about it. We're speaking at like just after 9 o'clock on the Sunday.
Brad's made a very good word there. Momentum. Feel like we've got a bit now. I think it's 3 out of the last 4 wins and a draw in there. Considering the start we had, where I think, let's be honest, everyone was getting a bit panicky due to the delay in the signings. We've got the signings in. It's made a difference. I do feel as well that although there were good players for us, the baggage of the players leaving, just totally removing them from the changing room seems to make a difference. I don't know why that is. And it probably makes training a bit more enjoyable because you've got to have people that are 100% pushing everybody on. The new kids have looked good when they've played, and we've seen them. I thought Burstow, for a young lad making his first men's football appearance in a tough league against experienced centre-backs, did really well, positional sense-wise. Obviously, I think Mowbray alluded to it, match fitness will come. He hasn't played much and they've got to be careful with that. And Anucci, when he came on, wow, what a player. Really, really good technically. But he likes to tackle as well, which was nice to see. But yeah, overall, I just really enjoyed it. I think a lot of people will allude to the red card as a game changer, but other than their effort from a long throw, I don't think they did much, to be honest. I thought that was the way they're playing. They were a proper typical Ainsworth side. They're fucking awful, aren't they, to watch, let's be honest. Sorry for the language, but they are brutal to watch. They are disgusting. They're physical. They're a spoiler team. That's all they are, spoilers. The only player I say that can come up with any credit from that game is their young striker who basically got left up top on his own after the red card to do it all himself. But at the same time, he was very lucky not to be sent off as well because on a yellow, he's consistent fouling. And I'm sure at one stage he went to kick the ball away and he had like a little like bulb going off in his head like, shit, I shouldn't do this. But as a 19-year-old kid, he was the only one to me who stood out. And Begovic, in fairness, he's conceded 3 goals, but he's pulled off some good saves. Like the one from Hamir was really good. And who I also feel sorry for because, like I say, they're getting in the positions, these strikers, and the goals will come because we've got that many creative players that chances will be created. So I just feel like once one goes in, it'll be a domino effect. Let's just hope it's not too long before that one goes in. But overall, yeah, delighted. I thought we fully deserved the 3 points and we played some brilliant football as well.
I love how Brad has froze, so he's disappeared unbeknown to everyone else, and Dave's just texted saying, "Oh, I've slipped in. I'm coming on in a minute." So you're going to get a myriad of different people at random points in the podcast, but it makes for a bit of more interest, I think. But Brad arrives right on time. Look at that! Look at that, Brad. You're driving. You're not driving. Sorry, you're in the car at the minute. But how did you feel about the result yesterday? Because we're feeling quite positive.
I'm very good about the result, mate. When we went 1-0 down, I was never at any point concerned. That was the main thing for me. I think this team's give us that confidence that they won't let the heads drop, and I think that stems from last season and it's fell into this year as well. We don't really let games get away from us. There's one or two exceptions, obviously, but I think we started the game very well. When they got the goal, it was pretty much against the one of it was a typical Ainsworth goal, but we knew that we were better than them. Yes, the red card's going to help because them chasing us with 11 men, we would have broke them down regardless. But with 10 men, I just knew that's something that we were going to be okay. And I know you were talking about before about the players who've left, and the lads that we've got in the dressing room. I think a big part of how we're going to go forward now, Mowbray is starting to see it because he had a lot of game time yesterday. Was Alex Pritchard. Thought when he came on, he just dictated the game. He dictated play from the minute he came on, and the chances he was creating for Job at the back post. I think there was 3 in total, just over the back of the defender. That can be a regular feature throughout the season, and whichever striker's on the end of it, we're going to get more goals than we're going to miss. So yeah, feeling very positive about it all. And I know what was said in the group chat. This is either going to be 2-2 or we'll get another. And you could just sense it was going to be that way. But it was like a 5% chance in my head thinking they were going to score. But yeah, we put the game to bed. It was just a very professional end to it, really, because it's easy to get sucked in and think, like, we're 2-1 up against 10 men, they're knackered, and they catch us on the break. I just thought we should remain professional, remain calm, which is a credit to Mowbray again, and a credit to the young lads and having that drilled into them.
There's like one side of me is like really pleased with how we done, and because I liked my preview guest this week, Clive. If anyone listened to it, really good fella. I also feel really sorry for him because like I could sense the tone in his voice that he was hating his football club, and yesterday won't have helped because I think as Ross touched before, as good as things feel at Sunderland at the minute, dear God, QPR are terrible. But Dave has joined. Dave, you look every minute like you've just slept in, mate. Are you all right?
I'm just about. I wouldn't mind if I had like 20 pints last night, but I didn't. I was just at work, so yeah, not bad. But it's a bit weird because, as nobody's noticed, I look about 20 years younger because I finally got rid of the hobo beard. So
Oh, you did?
So yeah,
I wouldn't know because you only show the top half of your head anyway.
Oh, well, that's not bad. Flipping Ross is worse than me, I'm sure.
The reason we don't do video is because Ross and also Dave only show us their face from about their mouth upwards. They're not made for video in many, many ways.
Voice for the radio, if ever I've face for the radio, if ever I've saw one.
Yes. How are you feeling about the result? Well,
yeah, very good. Yeah, and I think on top of probably echoing everything that you guys have said, it's just, and I probably said it when we played Wickham every other week in the previous however many years, it's just a victory for football because I can't stand him standing there like he's just finished a scene in Rock of Ages and saying that QPR are making progress. I just can't deal with it. Can't deal with it. I feel sorry for you just as much as I said I felt sorry for the Preston fans last year when they came up the Stadium of Light and played with 17 men behind the ball. I can't deal with it. It's not progress for football. I'm not saying everyone has to like play like Pep. Not everyone has to play like Tony Mowbray. Pep's learning a few things as we go on. Yeah, just a victory for football, I think.
That's the pod title, a victory for football. You mentioned Preston there. They are top of the league, so maybe there is progress. So Gareth, there is hope somewhere. But Ross, it was one of those days where like it's a social media manager's dream, really. Like 3 goals, an assist from a new boy, Pritch giving it beans, Hamir wearing Nyron's hat. It did feel flat a few weeks ago when we discussed it. And look, we're not going to hide away from the fact that we were like genuinely worried after that Coventry game because of things that we felt we were being left short a bit. But as I say countless times, I'm delighted when we're wrong. And so far we have been. That's 8 goals now. How good of a spot are Sunderland in as a club at the moment, do you think? We'll forget the off the field stuff like that was being discussed to death. But as a team and as a club and as a direction, how good of a spot do you think we're in at the moment?
Yeah, I think we're very good. I think, let's be honest, there was only like certain areas that needed strengthened, especially in the forward areas, which the club have been proactive and done so. And I mentioned before, Burstow, he's a young lad, he's raw, but he didn't look out of place. You know what I mean? Like, no disrespect, but last season when Gelhardt first came in, he looked out of place. Burstow, we've only seen 60, 70 minutes of him. He put himself about, and he looked like a forward who could get involved. Whereas, and he suits our system, which is the main thing. Obviously, Mowbray alluded to, he needs to learn on what runs to make with the players we've got, what balls you receive. But I think we've got me included, was like experience. I read something today that Dan Neil's played over 120 games for Sunderland or something like that. He's 21-year-old. So these young lads, they're young, but they've played a lot of football. Dan Ballard, his third consecutive season in the Championship. You know, Trey Humes played 2 seasons, then his second season now in the Championship. These players, okay, they're young, they're raw, but they've played a lot of football at this level now. And I feel like where we're at now compared to the start of last season, it's a game. To me, yesterday's a game that we would have buckled a bit under. Whereas we remain calm, we understood the Championship, we've been here before, we know what teams are like, we're prepared for it, and we know that we're good enough to combat the tactics that the likes of Ainsworth brings, because we've got the technically gifted players and the experience how to see out moments now. And we remained so patient in that first half. It was frustrating to watch at times, but Pritchard, Clarke, Hume dropping into the centre midfield, and Daniel when Ekwa went off, just passing it round, waiting for pulling QPR out, creating the gaps in behind, like Brad mentioned before. Job's very unlucky to me. He was onside. You've seen that side on video as well. One of the moments, the picture that's going round, the ball's already in there. That's why Job looks slightly offside. But when the ball hits Pritchard's foot, he's in line. So Andy probably should have scored an easier one with his foot where he just side-footed it. But again, these chances will come when we've got players who can create that. And Clarke took off from where he left last season, flying. Roberts, to be fair to him, he didn't do a lot apart from nearly score one of the best goals of the season between him and Abdullah. I just wish that riddled the back of the net, because that would have been one of the goals of the season. But again, I know I'm rambling on a bit, but we mentioned like where we're at as a club and where we feel like on the pitch we're ready. If you asked me 3 weeks ago, would Abdoullah Ba be a big part of our season? I'd go, probably not. I haven't seen enough from him. I don't know his best position. And I've got to eat a bit of humble pie here. When Mowbray was saying he's a winger, I was thinking, what on earth do they see in Abdoullah Ba that he's a winger? Well, he's just played the last 3 games as a winger, and he's got 2 assists and a goal. So I think I'll let Tony Mowbray do the managing, and I'll just watch, as he knows what he's talking about.
That's the worry, isn't it? That none of us know anything about football, and we'll have to still do a podcast every Sunday. That's the concern, really, I think. But I would normally go back to Brad at this point, but I want to go to Dave with this one because of the question I just asked Ross about where we are as a football club. And you mentioned Roberts there, Ross, and I think obviously there's concern about whether Roberts will still be here come season end, shall we say, because of his contract situation. I think we've all seen what he's allegedly been offered and so on and so forth, and there's a bit of a Ross Stewart-ism going on there. Now, I think we spoke to death about Ross Stewart's contract, Dave, and how we wanted that renewed, and I think we were both gutted when Ross went, and I think we'd feel the same way with Roberts in many ways. But I'm talking about where Sunderland are as a club at the minute, and I understand money talks, and I understand that people have to be paid what they feel they are worth in today's modern world. But when you see all the videos coming out of like Hamir with a hat on and like Trey Hume, I don't know if anyone's seen it, but Trey Hume telling the QPR fans to fuck off, very, very good. And that kind of unity that seems to be within Sunderland at the moment, even when everything gets thrown at us. And look, we've discussed to death all the things that have been thrown at us. Alex Neil walking out last season, 4 games in, like all strikers getting injured consistently, no centre backs for like the best part of last season. This season, losing the first 2 games, everything that could go against us has kind of gone against us, and the lads have clubbed together and just won games and got us places where we want to be. Just to flip the argument around for once, the likes of Patrick Robertson, players who might not be here because they might not sign a contract that they feel is worth. am I speaking as a fan here, Dave, or is Sunderland a really, really good place to be here at the moment? And sometimes the extra couple of thousand is not worth going to Southampton for example. Stay at Sunderland where everything's going in a direction that feels great, and we've got a really good bunch of lads.
Yeah, I think that was the balance to our argument with Ross Stewart, wasn't it? We felt for the cult hero that he'd become, and how much further than a cult hero he could have become. The difference in wages was maybe he's not worth it. Yes, Southampton get decent get gates and stuff like that. I don't want to get into the argument of who's the bigger club and whatever else. It's irrelevant. But for how much he would have been worshipped, or he was in some degree, is that little offset of wages, is it worth it? Now, I wish we had the figures. I wish we had the figures to hand to say that we were offering him 12 and Southampton were offering him 18, in which case I think there's an argument that you could have still made a comfortable life off 12k, and with bonuses and whatever, you'd get them close to whatever Southampton were offering. I suspect the difference in wage was probably more than that, and therefore I understand why he's took it. I do fully understand that. It depends where they're going to go, doesn't it? I suppose if like someone who's going to challenge for a European spot, like if Patrick Roberts, oh Jesus, I don't know who you're talking about. What, like in Premier League terms, if you were maybe looking at a Villa coming sniffing, it's not going to happen. They're way above and beyond that at the minute. I think they've done some great business, but I don't think he's going to get to play his football anywhere better in terms of style, in terms of what we expect. The only doubt that he could have in his head as time goes on, especially as Ross just said, if Ba suddenly has a worldie, Roberts doesn't get a kick, in which case he thinks, I've got to be playing week in, week out. It's amazing how many variables to the decision there would be, because if say a Preston came sniffing and offered him $2,000 more than we're offering him, but guaranteed him football every week, then yeah, I could totally understand why he's off. I think weirdly enough, at work last night, I was talking to a Brighton fan, and I said it's just nice to be at a level where I've got security in the stewardship for the fact that I believe there's a contingency plan. If we'd have lost the first 8 games of the season and Mowbray had gone, then I think we'd have gotten some kind of, Qatari manager in, and he'd have played the world's best football. Or if we've addressed it slightly now, and I think it could have been handled better, the Ross Stewart situation. Listen, if we lose a winger, we've got plenty of them. If we lose a midfielder, we've got plenty of them to cover it. But I do feel as though there is a pool out there of players, of coaches, of managers that we've got a list of, that we've scouted and we have solid information on. And everything's just a little bit tight and everything's a little bit normal. Sunderland and normal, not a phrase I ever thought I'd hear.
Honestly, I think you can probably hear from the way Dave's speaking and the fact I even asked a question. Maybe we're on the turn. I just felt yesterday, I've got to be honest and say that the things that I didn't want to happen have happened. And I'm still happy as Larry. I'm still delighted. But enough about players going, because that wasn't necessarily where I was going with it. It was more a case of how good of a place it is and why would anyone not want to be part of that. But one of those new players yesterday, Brad, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Ross obviously does, so I'm just going to call him Adil. He looked very nippy, got a nice assist yesterday. I think everyone's really impressed with his cameo. What did you make of Adil, or Double A, as he calls himself on Instagram's appearance?
It's Aushish, as I'm led to believe.
It's not a Chuchi, as I've been calling him.
A Chuchi. I've heard some belters, to be honest.
A Chuchi. I couldn't.
No, I thought he was good.
I knew people that couldn't pronounce Kenwin, let alone a Chuchi, Chi. So,
no, I thought he was good. He looked lively when he came on. He wanted to get involved in a lot of stuff that we were doing, and ultimately he ended up getting his assist at the end. which is excellent. Really, it's not a bad debut either, coming on for 20 minutes and grabbing an assist. But yeah, he was getting involved. He wasn't like shirking away as a new player or just waiting for his chance. He was trying to come deep or link up with Jack Clarke on the left-hand side quite often. So no, I was very impressed with him. But look, it's only 20 minutes. Well, 28 minutes because 8 minutes added on, wasn't it? It's only 28 minutes that he's played. So let's see how he gets on going forward. But from the first viewing of him, it's only positive that I've got to see from how he played.
Yeah, I thought he looked really good when he came on. And getting an assist, it's massive for a winger or an attacking midfielder. To get an assist after your first 28 minutes is exactly what you want. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think also Burstow as well, I agree with everything that Ross said beforehand. We have to come on to it, Ross, because as much as it could have been not funny for Job, the fact that Job isn't injured, and I don't know where Ainsworth is talking about, he made a meal of it, but that Jack Clarke challenge, I think we would have won the game anyway. I've got a really good mate who's a QPR fan, and he said, look, you were the better team when we had 11 players on the pitch as well. So, like, you deserve the win, and I agree. But he did kind of help a little bit, which is funny. Clarke's challenge, what an absolute, can we say dosser?
Let's be honest, he's a wanker, isn't he?
Just an idiot. Like, what a coward going in on a 17-year-old.
Ginger prick is what he is.
Now wrong with ginger's bread. I've got a ginger beard.
Gingers have souls, Brad. Gingers have souls. He's just a wanker.
We're going to get cancelled here, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. But no, apologies for the GDL. He's just an absolute plodder, isn't he? He's an absolute plodder who, let's be honest, he thought he was better than us. And ever since, his career's just been shit. Like, he got lucky that he had a little spell at Forest, but even they binned him off. Like, he's shit. And it's a coward tackle. It's his shit touch or shit pass, whatever it was, that makes him have to make the challenge. And he knows exactly what he's doing. It's so high. It's in the back of his leg. And to be fair, he'll fit right in with Ainsworth's football. Thuggery. Shit footballers who can kick out above grass. He's just a tosser.
I thought the tackle was horrendous, Like, he's going to get crap because he's... well, I don't even want to call him an ex-mag. He wasn't even that good.
He's callback, isn't he?
He's just callback. He's just a total nonity. Like, just an average
footballer. When he went to Mags, they called him the Ginger Perlo, so he must have been mint there.
Can we just recall that he got in the England squad based on that move? Does anyone remember that? He got in the England squad. Absolutely. But, I mean, so did a few others as well. But I think, I don't want to make it too much about him, but the tackle itself, on a serious note, even if he wasn't Jack Clarke and had the history that he's had with Sunderland and the fact that he's obviously done it with a bit of malice because he wants to be Billy Big Bows and attack a 17-year-old and kick him in the back of the knee. I just think even if it wasn't him, that tackle was absolutely stinking. And I think, look, I know we're not the biggest fans of Gareth Ainsworth, but he's getting the tune out of a team like Wickham and got them promoted, so he's not a complete idiot. Like, he has got a team promoted, and look, he's got more footballing on his CV than I'll ever have, so fair enough. But the fact that Ainsworth came out and almost defended it and said Job made a meal out of it. The kid's 17 and he got kicked in the back of his knee. The tackle was horrendous. I've not seen anyone from a QPR perspective outside of Ainsworth or a Sunderland perspective or a neutral perspective say that was anything but a disgusting, cowardly tackle. And if you're Jack Clarke, you should be ashamed of it, to be honest. Because the last time he came up against an adult, as I put on Twitter yesterday, he got floored, and that man's name's Lee Barry Cattermole. If you want to try and have a go at a 17-year-old kid, then fair enough, mate. But I think this is a lot more about your character than anything else. But look, on to good things, Dave. We've discussed them a little bit already. We've talked about how great the kids are, but I'm loving Pritchard this season. He's made an impact every single time he's came on the pitch, Dave. How close should he be to a start?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll run out of superlatives, sorry. Easy to say. He's always been a player who's had a bit of a chip on his shoulder anyway. The fact that he's not starting it's not a chip anymore. It's like a massive crater on his shoulder. And clever management. Yeah, I suppose you've got to give Mowbray a bit of credit for it. But he is changing the game every time he comes on, whether it's the last 17 minutes, whether yesterday it's the first 70. Yeah, it proves to you exactly what everyone says. This model is great, but you do have to have some level of football intelligence, experience, and a little bit of nous about you. And Pritchard has got it in abundance, to be fair. Absolutely.
Oh, sorry.
Go on, sorry.
No, Pritchard's great. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, it's probably a great thing. Also, by the way, I've got no problem with gingers. I've got a few mates who are ginger, so just get that cliche in there. But I mean, if you're gonna be ginger, don't have a shit haircut with it. And I've got no hair, so me calling someone with a shit haircut is hilarious. But yeah, fuck off, Colbert.
Dave cutting to the bone. I said I didn't want any editing in this, and I'm now seriously concerned about being cancelled by anyone who's got a resemblance to Prince Harry. Brad, I wanted to pull one lad's name out the hat, who I think almost goes under the radar because he's so good every single week. And I think I've said before, I can't remember if I said it on the podcast or said it in our group chat, but I've said like Dan Ballard for me is worth millions, especially with his contract and stuff like that. Great to see him getting a goal. Look, he couldn't miss. But I think he is a massive part of our future. And I think for me, he's up there with one of the best centre-halves in the league. I actually think he could be Premier League already. But again, yes, he'll get the plaudits for the goal. But how good was he defensively as well, Brad? And how good has he been this season?
Oh, mate, it's frustrating because we talked about if we had Ross Stewart last season, we'd have got promoted, this, that, the other. I believe some of the goals we conceded, if Dan Ballard had been in the side, we might have been there or thereabouts. But yeah, he's so cool, like when he wants to play out with the ball at his feet. But he's an absolute unit as well. I mean, I wouldn't like to take clattering off him. He's just a very classy defender, and yeah, he could easily be in the Premier League now. There's a few players we've picked from these academies, and I don't know how on earth we've managed to get them. Like you can go, well, Sirkin, probably his injuries has let him down a bit, but you can go with Ekwa, you can say Dan Ballard, Jack Clarke. I just don't know how we can get these young'uns for so cheap that could easily have went to a bottom end Premier League side and slotted in no bother. But yeah, Ballard's just he's class. I can't really say I can't remember, Graham, since he's signed one game where he's had a bad game, where we talk about other defenders, like you talk about your Danny Bart, or we always go back to the Bolton game. I can't think of one game that Dan Ballard had a bad game or did below a 7, 6.5, 7. I just think he's been so good, so steady, and just what we need. And if we can keep him fit this season, that's just as important as having an out-and-out goal scorer as well, because I know Luke O'Nine's the captain, leads the team, but I think Ballard organises the defence, and he's so good at it. And you've got to think, like you said, this is his third season in the Championship as well, so he's not inexperienced. He's just a young lad who came through pretty early and clearly has the talent because he's played at this level for so long. I think it's his fourth season in men's football, and three of them has been in the Championship. So he is definitely going to go place. I hope it's for Sunderland. And look, it's another testament to the recruitment team and the hierarchy that even though he signed a year ago, we've tied him down to a longer term deal. So if anyone does want to come in, we can demand what we want from him. And if not, we're keeping him. Yeah,
I mean, for me, he's in today's market. If Alex Scott's worth £25 million as an attacking midfielder, I think centre halves are just as important, especially when they're young. I would be, I mean, not that he's going anyway, he signed a new contract, which is massive news. But if anyone is considering buying him in the future, I'd want a hefty. I don't get the money, but Sunderland as a football club should demand a hefty fee. In terms of Ballard as well, I think if you go back to when we first signed him, we did one of those shows where we spoke to a Millwall fan, we spoke to a Blackpool fan, and they both said the same thing. They went, look, I think he could probably be at a Premier League level, potentially even an Arsenal level, because he has the reading of the game's perfect, his size, he's passing out from the back. They said the only thing that's probably lacking for him at that high level, which is a really high level, is his pace. And whilst I can't say I think he's Arsenal level because that's a different realm completely, but I don't see any flaws in his game. I don't even think he's slow because I think he gallops. That would say he's anything less than a Premier League footballer. I just really hope it's with Sunderland, but I think Ballard for me is hugely important. I agree with what you said before about him organising the defence. I think I said at the start of the season, I think he'd become player of the year, and I think I'll stand by that. I think he's an absolute colossus, and I genuinely, absolutely love him. Kind of weird, though, that he has the body of a Greek god, but the face of like a 16-year-old boy. Kind of odd. But fantastic player. Brilliant. Love him. Superb. Ross, maybe one negative. I don't know if it is a negative because it's not that bad. It's not like he's broke his leg and he's out for weeks, but Cirkin injured again. He's picked up a few. I think last season we could have said, potentially it's his first full season. I was kind of hoping he was going to go the first few weeks of this season without an injury, but he's picked up an injury that'll keep him out for 3 to 4 weeks. Is it a bit of a concern how often he gets injured, or am I just overplaying that and looking too deep into it? Just a little niggle that's going to keep him out, and we'll survive.
I think last season you could probably say, oh yeah, it's his first full season. Give him time. His body's adjusting. He's a young lad. But for it to happen again so soon after coming back in the new season, he's starting to get the injury prone tag, isn't he? You've seen a few tweets. I've seen a few harsh tweets yesterday, like, he's made a Weetabix and all that. And you feel sorry for him because there's a great player in there when he gets a consistent run. But unfortunately, we need players who are ready to play week in, week out. And that left-back role is a bit of a poison chalice with injuries, isn't it? You look at it, Cirkin and Elise, both brilliant players when fit, but it's keeping them fit. I feel sorry for Elise because I think he probably will be back in there now playing left back if he wasn't rushed back against Luton because we had no defenders. So I think his is a bit. He was rushed back twice last season. He was rushed back against Borough and against Luton. So that, to be fair to him, that's probably his 1 week in. We can not maybe give him the tag yet, but we need him back soon. I thought Huggins did all right, He nearly got killed. Like, that was another thing. Like, the pushing the back straight and the advertising board, it was brutal. That's really brutal. It was assault. But I think Huggins will get a run now. That's something that he's never been given or afforded to due to injuries. The club rate him so highly, that's why he's still here. Otherwise, he'd be out on loan. But I also do think that Mowbray went to a back three and did wing backs. Obviously, it helped that we had the extra man. But with Pembele coming in, who's naturally a wing back, and also Jack Clarke's played wing back brilliantly well for us in the past, and Trey Humes played in that back three type when we had no fit centre halves. It's another option that we could go towards with Cirkin out. My worry as well was when I seen Dak wasn't there. I was like, oh no, Dak's had a lot of injuries. But his seems to be just a little knock and he's back in by Wednesday. And let's be honest, when Pierre Ekwah went off, a part of the group chat died, didn't it? It was like, oh no, not Pierre. Not Pierre, anybody but Pierre. But it looks like it's just a reoccurrence of a dead leg. So when he was holding the back of his leg, Brad said, oh, I think it could be hammy. Like, part of my heart dropped, but just a dead leg. If he misses Wednesday, it's annoying, but so be it. I think Bellingham played in the 8 role pre-season and didn't look out of place. He looked well there. Obviously, he hasn't played that role in the Championship, so it'll be interesting to see. But then it means you can get Pritchard or Dak in the 10. So you can see why they were calm about not bringing in a centre midfielder, whereas we were panicking like hell. But if Bellingham can fit in there, Neil can play the deeper role, and then you can have Pritchard or Dak in the 10. There's options, and I feel like with options, we're more than competitive against whoever we play at this level.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said there. I don't need to re-go over what you said. I love Dennis Cirkin. I think he's a great player, but maybe slight concern that he does seem to pick up a niggle every 6 to 8 weeks. I've completely forgot about Alessi, but I think Huggins is more than adequate cover. I think when you stuck off yesterday, it wasn't because he was poor, it was just a change of shape, and one of them has to come out. I don't think there's anything wrong with Huggins coming off. I really rate Niall Huggins. I've never really seen him have that bad of a game necessarily. I'm sure people points him out, but I think he's good. He's come from a good stock, Bielsa's Leeds. But talking of that, we've got, for the first time in what feels like a while, like a double game week, Dave. So just to kind of cover off before we go, Blackburn away, tough game, but I think we can go there and be confident. But I'll be honest, I'd probably take the point.
Yeah, I think that's got to be the aim for the lads. Just don't get beat. I don't agree we're setting up like that, and I don't think we're capable of setting up like that.
I don't either. I think those lads always want to just go and win. I think we could play like, I don't know who's a good team. I was going to say Man United there, but they're not good anymore.
The Arsenal Cup game the other year. I think if we came up against that again, we would have a go in our style, and that's kudos to us. We've been asking for a philosophy and a style of play for quite some time, and that's just how we play football. Why not? I don't think there's going to be excuse me. I don't think there's going to be many teams which will stop us conceding goals. So yeah, what we're gonna go with 2-2 draw. Bit of an entertaining one. The old Desmond.
7-0 to Sunderland, but
2-0 the lads.
Only 2? Nah, 7. Right, lads, thanks for joining. It's been a bit of a mess this morning. And obviously this will be our last podcast because we're now obviously going to get cancelled. But a win for football, ultimately. Dave, Ross, thanks for joining. Brad's already gone because he's doing something with drains or whatever. I don't know what he's doing. But thanks for joining and thanks for everyone for listening.
Legend. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, lads. Away the lads.
Made it none of that.